I couldn't say no. I was stuck. I think when it comes down to it, it's who you are and who you know.
Trigger warning. The following content will discuss sexual assault/rape, emotional abuse, child abuse, and military misconduct. I'm Jasmine T, and if you know me, it's probably from TikTok, and your For You page is probably full of other social justice warrior bitches. Today we're talking about something that takes more than 3 minutes, which is why we are on YouTube, where I have no following, and not on TikTok, where people actually listen to me. But I'm hoping that this format works for this subject because people need to listen to this woman. 5 months ago, she reached out to me. She was looking for a creator who was willing to use their platform to let her tell her story. And absolutely, that's completely something I want to do. When I tell you I was not expecting the story I got, I mean it.
He would do it, and the whole time he was doing it, he would laugh. I was stuck. Continued to rape me, wanting to deploy and stuff because you could rape women there. And I didn't even know he knew where I lived. I pulled out a gun on him.
This needs to be heard. This woman, her injustice, it needs to end now. I'm going to be interjecting throughout the interview to give statistics and clarification and whatnot. But for now, I'm going to pass it over to past Jasmine in the polar bear sweater.
We got married in Alabama on January 1st, 2016. We went back to North Carolina where we lived, and we actually moved into an apartment together. I'm just, going to be totally honest. I would take Seroquel, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Seroquel, but it knocks you out. And I was thinking that I was having dreams about him doing stuff to me. Mm-hmm. But the thing that kind of clicked in my head, I was waking up bleeding and not understanding what happened. And then that's when he told me, he goes, "Oh, well, you didn't wake up, so I didn't think it bothered you." So I actually stopped taking the medication and would literally, when I slept sitting up in a chair until I can leave. And then, but it didn't help because he would, I couldn't say no to having sex with him. If I did it, it didn't matter. The end of February, 2016, I actually, while he was at work, I packed up mine and my daughter's stuff and left for Texas. Mm-hmm. And, and I thought I was, safe and all of that. And then, he just, in early April, he had sent me a package with lingerie and, all sorts of stuff. I didn't even know he knew where I lived until he sent the lingerie. I don't really know what he was trying to do with it, because then all of a sudden he showed up at my door in Texas, and they had given him leave to go to Texas, and I had no idea. And he actually forced his way in and assaulted me. And I did contact the police, but they didn't seem to give a crap. They really didn't care.
He found her address against her will, stalked her to that new address, break and entry, and then assaulted her. And the military paid him to do this. He got paid leave to do this. She called the police again.
I ended up moving again to Laredo, Texas, right on the Mexican border. For a little bit, I was able to get away from him. My daughter looked at him like a dad. When he kind of came in, we were, together since she was almost 2.5, right before her 3rd birthday. Mm-hmm. So that was the only, only family she really had. There was one time I did travel to North Carolina and was okay, I'll let you see her. We were actually supposed to get separate well, no, they were little trailers. And we were supposed to have separate ones. And we did. And then when I was sleeping, he actually had a key to my door. And he went in And again, he sexually assaulted me. And I actually packed up right after it happened. I didn't bother trying to report it to the police. I just packed up and went back to to Texas. I went through, kind of a lot mentally. I didn't feel safe where I lived in Laredo, especially with him knowing where I lived. So my goal was to go from Texas. I'm originally from New York. So I was just going to go home. I had to go through Alabama, and I stopped at a hotel and in Alabama, not realizing that his dad lived in the same town. My car broke down. I'm pretty sure somebody put something in my tank because I ended up straining my tank, and I kind of got stuck in Alabama for a couple days. With everything going on when I was in Alabama, I kind of was hopeless. And I was talking to him, trying to, I guess, figure out what to do. And in a sense, going to him for help. It's kind of crappy because, he really was the only person. Like, I don't have family. I don't have friends. I don't, he was, whether he was doing what he was doing or not, he's all I had to, call. And he spent 2 hours pretty much convincing me to kill myself.
Wow.
And I did. I ended up overdosing. And then after, I did it and he was on the phone, immediately he was hanging up the phone, didn't want to talk to me. And then it kind of was in my head, I was like, what the hell am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up calling the ambulance, and they picked me up, and I spent a couple of days in the ICU because I really did mess myself up. They didn't know if I was going to live or not. As soon as I was released from the ICU, I was sent to the psych unit in the hospital, but then was released within a couple hours to him. And it was,
wow.
And he brought me back. And I didn't really, at that point, I didn't think I had a choice because, he was my husband. So it was he had more control in that moment because of what I did than I did. And then he finally had to go back to base. And then as soon as he left, I contacted his commanders, listen, this is what he just did to me. And you guys continue to give him leave to come and abuse me. And I was told that we can't do anything about that.
I think we all know that if they really wanted to do something about that, which they should want to, they could. They chose not to.
Fast forward, that was in the summer. It was Christmas time, December 2018. And he was in some sort of training in California. He was done with the training, and they had actually let him drive there and drive back. And on his way back, he was telling me that he was going to stop at my house in Alabama. And again, I never even gave him the address, yet he knew my address. It was a couple days before he was getting ready to leave that he had told me, he insisted, and I begged him. I'm like, you have no reason to stop here. Do not stop here. And he was just going to do it anyways. And I called his command because, I called the police first. And they told me until he does something, there's nothing they can do.
Until he does something, there's nothing we can do. How much does this man have to do for you to do your job?
So I called his command, begging them, please do not give him leave, because you're going to give him leave and he's going to come and abuse me. And he did. He just showed up at my house, and then without my knowledge, he actually got the landlord to add him to my lease on my house. How the house was set up, there was a back room that was, I think somebody tried to turn it into a little studio apartment, because there was a room and then the back door took you right outside to a deck. So I pretty much, locked myself and my kid in that room until the next morning and left. And then I was told that he was gone, that he wasn't coming back. So I went home. And then that night he showed up, and kind of like, it was kind of the point, like I didn't actually fight as much as I did the other times because my daughter was right in the other room.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it did get to the point where, like, I mean, he was really hurting me and I just couldn't handle it. And I pulled out a gun on him, and I attempted to make him leave, but then he ended up grabbing the gun and turning it on me.
This man keeps showing up at her house. And how does he keep finding her address? Are we really going to pretend like he's not using his military benefits to find her address? Because I don't see how else he could be finding it all the time.
And which, you know, I should have, because I guess now I know if I had to pull the trigger, I couldn't. And that's kind of what it was. So then he, you know, continued to rape me and then ended up dragging me outside by my hair. Why? I'm not really sure. I don't know what, like, usually any other time he's done it, he's always smiles and laughs. But this time he was just really angry. And I mean, like, I fought like hell, and he ended up leaving. And I called the cops, and they were pretty much like he had already left the state and all of that. So it didn't matter.
Hello, 911? My extremely abusive Marine Corps husband is going to come to my apartment on paid leave and rape me. Oh, thanks for letting us know. We're going to do nothing. Okay, well, he's already done it now. Now that he's already done it, because you didn't stop him from doing it, can you come do something about the fact that he's now already done it? No, we're not going to do that. Great, thank you.
Now, it was a year before I had contacted NCIS again. And it was because I got a message from a guy that he had made friends with in California. His name's Kevin Millican. He was telling them that his name was Max Millie. And somehow the guy was able to connect him to me. He messaged me and was like, can you please send me this guy's information? He attempted to sexually assault my underage sister. I think he said she was like 14 or 15. And honestly, it was like one of those, like, when I heard that, it was like, you know, there was no way from that point on I'm just going to let it go, especially when there's kids getting involved now. And I don't know what ever happened with that. I talked to the guy a couple months ago, and he was like, we attempted to do this, and pretty much nobody would listen to the girl. So they decided to just forget about it and do what they can to help the girl move on. And that's like my biggest fear. And that's like, and especially if he's already went for a little girl. And I get, you know, in most people's eyes, 14, 15 isn't a little girl, but that's a little girl.
Yeah.
You know, and if he's doing this to women and then he gets away with that, he's going to have no problem doing it to a child.
When I was 14 or 15, you could not have convinced me that I was a little girl. But when I look back on the abuse that I endured when I was 14 or 15, I'm going, oh my God, I was a child. You feel so adult and so old at 14, 15 because you know, you can go out without your parents and you have all these new responsibilities, but you don't see yet that you're a child. And you won't see that you were a child at 14, 15 until you're not anymore. It's going to take you years to realize that you were a child at 14, 15. And even if you are that age right now, sitting here watching this going, well, I'm different. I'm more mature than that. You probably are different and mature. I was, but I was still a child.
When did you start talking about what you've been through?
I got married to my husband in 2016. And it was really just 3 months later. Like, as soon as it started, I was very vocal about what was happening. I mean, I told everybody what was going on, and it just didn't really matter. And, you know, I gave up for a couple years, and then December 2019 is when I started really fighting with the NCIS.
Hope's husband is a Marine, and the NCIS investigates military crime.
When you started speaking about it, nothing came of it?
Like for the first couple years, no. I mean, I would call the police, I would call his command. I did everything that I could think of, and nobody really listened. I was kind of told, well, you're married, like, you can't really rape your wife.
Marital rape is illegal, right? And it's been illegal for a long time, right? I don't know. Let's see how many of you know. Is it A, marital rape is not illegal? B, marital rape has been illegal since 1895? C, marital rape has been illegal since 2006? Or D, marital rape has been illegal since 1993? Correct. It is D. I really wish it was B. I do. Wish more than anything that it was B, but it is D. I'm looking over here because that's where my other screen is, and now you're looking over at that screen as well. 17 states have loopholes for marital rape, so it's illegal, but is it really? At least 1 in 10 married women will experience marital rape. Marital rape is 4 times more common than stranger rape. Almost 1 in 5 marital rape survivors say their children witnessed the assault, and marital and intimate partner rapes are underreported. So taking into account that these instances are underreported and how gruesome her experience was, it is ridiculously impressive that she reported this. This woman is strong as hell.
I guess when you have, all these people telling you can't, you kind of start believing it.
Have you submitted any cases to the legal system at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Here is why sexual assaults go so widely unreported, because only 0.6% of these reported cases get the outcome that is in favor of the victim. If the person isn't in jail long enough to be in there your whole lifetime, then one day they're going to get out and you're going to be alive and they're going to come find you if they can. And that is fucking terrifying. And that is why her reporting this is so amazing. She's so incredibly strong and brave and courageous. And she knows that she is going to do whatever she can to fight hard enough to beat these statistics.
I was assigned an attorney by the Marine Corps. They're really just PR for the military.
Huh. A military employed lawyer representing the person suing another military employee. Seems like a conflict of interest, right? Well, let's see what the NCIS, which is who employs the military lawyers, says about any of what they do for their job. Within the Department of the Navy, the Naval Criminal Investigative Services is the civilian federal law enforcement agency uniquely responsible for investigating felony crime, preventing terrorism, and protecting secrets for the Navy and Marine Corps. So her husband is a Marine, and this lawyer's job is to protect the secrets of the Marine and Navy. Pretty sure that's the definition of a conflict of interest.
He would do it, and the whole time he was doing it, he would laugh.
Okay.
And then afterwards act like nothing happened, make jokes, It's been an ongoing case for the last almost a year and a half now.
Wow, okay.
And I really haven't heard anything. The only thing that I hear from them, from the prosecutor, is that there's more victims. Every time I call and get an update, there's another victim.
So you coming forward definitely helped more women in the process of it?
In some senses, I think it might have hurt more women because I was the first one to come forward. And it's kind of like, when you commit a crime and you get away with it, it kind of gives you the power to continue doing it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I feel like happened. He didn't get in trouble or caught or nothing happened or came of it the first time. So he just okay, I can do what I want.
It is devastating that she feels blame for the women that he has continued to rape after her. It is disgusting that the justice system is putting that feeling onto her. She did not rape those women. He did. She's not just victim blaming herself. She's blaming herself for other victims' pain. Me victim blaming me, that pain almost destroyed me. I literally can't comprehend the pain that she's talking about. And yet she still is ready to tell her story to more people. She wants her story to get into the news so that there can be enough public outcry for this man to get off the streets. This woman is brave as hell.
Have you spoken with any of the other women? Do you know if their cases are similar to yours?
They really won't give me any names. He was accused of raping his sister-in-law. His family and everybody kind of blamed it on her because she used drugs. And, oh, you don't remember, you don't know. And unfortunately, I didn't find that out until after we got married.
So he definitely has a long ongoing history of abuse that just hasn't been intervened with at all.
I'm pretty sure for the first 6 months, they were hoping that if they didn't do it like that, like I'd forget about it, so that they wouldn't have to do anything. NCIS finished their investigation within a month of the report. NCIS does their investigation, and then they send it over to his command. His command then has to send it up, like the chain of command, to the prosecutor. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do that for months. And when I talked to his command about it, they told me none of this is going on. You never reported it. If you reported it, we would have gotten the report.
Wow. So the entire military just gaslit you.
Yeah. Every time I do talk about it, they're like, well, you do realize if he's, arrested, you're not going to get spousal support. You're not going to have insurance. You're not going to have this. You're not going to have that. And at this point, I don't care. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather be homeless than let this man continue hurting women. The second victim after me actually came forward. I was told that this is going to prolong your case a little bit because now we need to investigate this and we're going to add this onto your case. So every time there's a new victim that comes forward, it extends it and is giving him more time to do it to other women.
The more women he rapes, the longer the military gets to put off making this public. This man raping more women is what the military wants, instead of creating new cases for each woman, because women are individual people who deserve individual justice. They're just lumping all the cases together into one. And every time there's a new one, it takes longer for it to process. Let that sink in. They're giving him more time. Every time he rapes a woman, he gets more time to be out raping women. He has literal incentive to rape more women. Oh, the case is about to happen. I better rape a woman to push back that court case.
When you sign the contract into the military, there's a lot they can do before he gets arrested. And there was a point where, honestly, I thought it was going to take him killing me to finally get somebody to listen. They're giving him the power, not to mention, with most jobs, you can't take 30 days off, get paid for it, and do whatever you want in the meantime and get paid.
But apparently if you're a Marine who keeps raping his wife and other women, you can keep getting entire months off every time you request it.
He's very charming. He's very nice. And I think that's really where it got me. I was kind of young. I was a single mom. I also have lupus. So there was a point where, up until for a long time, I supported my daughter on my own and I was fine. But then when I started to get sick with lupus, I did kind of depend on him in certain aspects financially and for insurance. Mm-hmm. And from the moment I reported it to the military, they were reminding me of that. I didn't know this, but the whole time when he was continuing to send me money. But I didn't realize that he was pretty much paying me off, paying for my silence without me knowing it. Because then once I spoke up, he stopped helping at all. He legally has to send 50% of his BAH, which is basic housing allowance. I tried to call and let them know, hey, he's not doing, this, and even just trying to get updates on the case. And that's when they always, made sure to remind me that, if you continue with these charges, he's not gonna have to do that anymore. And he's not gonna have to do this. And he's not. So it was kind of like they were helping him enforce his punishment.
When you say you don't want universal health care, this is who you're fucking over. Well, I don't want to pay for other people's health care. I live in Canada. I pay $37 a month in taxes for medical care. based on my income and my age and all these things. And I would pay way more because I know that this is who it's fucking over when you don't. If you are heartless enough to not care about the people that actually need universal health care, then there's nothing I can say to you to convince you otherwise. You don't have a heart. Why wouldn't you want to help people? Not having universal health care is keeping her relied on her abuser. And considering that 1 in 10 women suffer from marital rape, don't you think it's pretty likely that there's hundreds of thousands of cases like this and they'd be able to get out if you would stop being ignorant?
He's free to do what he wants with the other victims. It's even pointless to try to warn anybody about him because I pretty much get called a bitter ex when in reality, like, I'm the one that left him. I'm the one, for years I begged for a divorce. He would not give it to me. And I didn't have the money to fight him for one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I guess I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to do. Like, as far as what my attorney says, that they are bringing up charges on him, but in the meantime, he can and probably is doing this to other women. At one point, I was also told by his gunnery sergeant that they don't want to go forward with charges because they don't want the backlash with Black Lives Matter, and which is messed up because, they're trying to actually do something good, and this man is here taking advantage of it.
Just when you think this can't get any worse, it does. Now the military is using the Black Lives Matter movement as an excuse to not charge a rapist. They're taking a movement so vitally important to the future of America, and they're using it to the benefit of a rapist.
I guess I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I've reached out to news, like all sorts of news outlets. At this point, like, I've probably at least 200, just because I don't know what else I'm supposed to do.
This woman needs media coverage. She deserves for her story to be heard. She deserves for this man to be off the street. And quite frankly, the entire country deserves for this man to be off the street. This is going to have to be 2 parts. So I am going to sign off for right now. But part 2 will be up and it will include discussion like this.
The investigator on the case changed 3 different times. Yet everything they've told me has been a complete lie. She knew she was going to die. And then another woman's, that other woman came forward. And I think when it comes down to it, it's who you are and who you know. In the meantime, he can and probably is doing this to other women. The only thing that I hear from them, from the prosecutor, is that there's more victims. Like, every time I call and get an update, there's another victim. I guess I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to do.